Five communication habits that are slowly destroying your career. Let me give you an example. Every month, as a corporate trainer, I conduct training sessions in sales and marketing. I would meet about 200 people every month. We're talking about 6 to 7 training sessions. Each session has about 20 to 30 people. When we ask a question, many people answer. When we sit with them over lunch, when we sit with them in meetings, we observe them conduct their monthly review meetings. And you find that many of them say things which actually reveal their thought processes. And people are forming opinions about you based on what you say. And many times the saying that we do, the talk that we do, it hides an attitude. And people sense that attitude. And if you say the wrong things, it indicates that you're carrying a wrong attitude at the back, and that can be a career killer. We've seen so many people who are extremely talented at their jobs, very good, achieving their targets also, regularly doing 100% or more in their monthly target achievements, but are still stuck in their careers. And this video addresses these 5 communication habits that are slowly destroying your career. My name is Maneesh Konkar. I'm a corporate trainer. In this video and in all the videos on this channel, we cover inputs on career success, digital marketing, sales, regular consumer marketing, leadership sessions. All right. Our videos will help you manage yourself better, manage your team better, and focus on the habits that will improve your career. Let's begin. We also run a digital marketing agency and we've got lots of online courses. So have a look at the description and you have lots of links over there. You know what to do. Okay. All right. So let's begin. So the first career habit that we are talking about is most people have a tendency to vent about their problems. Okay. If you talk to most people, here's what they talk about. If you talk to a corporate employee who is stuck in his career, what does he say? First of all, many of these people think that they are the smartest people in the room. They think that they are the only smart people in the room. They criticize their bosses, they criticize their colleagues, they criticize their colleagues in other departments, they criticize their distributors, they criticize their team members. And look at it this way, I mean, everybody around you is a fool except, okay, me, myself, right? And I am the greatest leader on earth. Can't be that way, right? If God had decided to put you into there and hey, he's got all of these people around you, maybe you are exactly like them. Okay, that's the reason. If you take a typical, a person who gossips, and you'll find in the personal space, we have a lot of people who gossip about their parents, gossip about their spouses, gossip about their children, gossip about their brothers, sisters, and mostly they're criticizing everybody. Now, why is this a mistake? Because you are fundamentally not understanding the power of the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is one of the most fundamental laws of the universe. It's what you give energy to, you attract more and more of it. Like attracts like. That's the basic idea. So let me give you an example. Okay, everybody, here is what I want you to do. Do not think of a zebra. All right, do not think of a zebra running along a beach. Do not think of a zebra climbing on top of a mountain. Do not think of a zebra getting into a car and switching on the ignition. And do not think of a zebra that is just come into the room and is sitting on the last table. When we do this, when I say these things in a training program, some people have actually looked back to see whether the zebra is already there. So look at it this way. Okay, what did I ask you to do? I told you not to think of the zebra. What happened? You couldn't but think of the zebra. And why? Because from the point of view of law of attraction, okay, and what is this energy? I asked you to think of the zebra. Now the mind does not understand positive or negative. It does not understand whether I am talking about wanting to make you think of the zebra or not think of the zebra. It is the same thing. There is no positive or negative here. I said zebra, you will bring the image of a zebra into your mind. You attracted the image of the zebra into your mind. Now, the point we are talking about is whatever you speak about the most, you tend to attract the most. So, if you are talking about how bad the situation is, you are going to see more and more of how bad the situation is. If you complain about traffic all the time, you are going to experience more and more traffic. If you say that I always get stuck in a situation like this, that is a situation that is going to happen to you again and again. So, if you talk about your problems all the time, you are actually attracting more and more of those problems. If you complain about your team being demotivated all the time, eh, your team is going to, in a way, what your the message that you're putting out in the universe is that, oh, my team is demotivated, and you attract more and more of the same thing into your life. So that's why we say you don't talk about your problems, you talk about your solution. You may maybe spend 10% of your time talking about your problems and then say, all right, here is how I go about doing this. I tend to put on weight a lot, and whatever I do just doesn't work out. I need to try out new things. Now you are talking about solution. So what is the solution you're going to look at? You're going to look at a diet plan, you're going to look at an exercise plan. Those are the solutions that you will admire, that you will attract into your life, right? So the first communication mistake that people make is that people are mostly talking about their problems. The more you talk about your problems, the more you talk about your stress, the more you talk about your anxieties, the more you will attract more anxiety and stress into your life. The point is not to reduce stress, the point is to be happy. The point is not to reduce weight, the point is slim. How do I get slimmer? That's the point that we are going to talk. Okay, that's how you attract. That's how you use the law of attraction to attract the right things into your. This is point number one. Now let's look at point number two. Point number two is coming out of jealousy. Okay, it's related to the first point, but this is, I want to talk about something slightly different from what most people are doing. Most of us compare ourselves to others on social media. And social media is causing a lot of this issue, but then the point is that nobody's forcing you to go on Facebook or Instagram and compare yourself to other people. The point is that most people only put their best selves on their social media handles. If somebody lifts 55 kilos of an exercise, he goes and puts that over there. What he doesn't put is that he had a muscle pull and therefore hurt his back for the next 15 days and didn't do anything. People put their stories of how they are buying new cars and new bikes. They don't put the stress that comes out of having a much higher EMI. Most people are only talking about a picture that they want to present. Now, when you look at that picture and you feel inferior, what is actually happening to you is you are getting jealous. Okay, and every time you criticize somebody, okay, every time you're criticizing somebody. So let me give you how an example of how this happens. Somebody wins an award and people say, okay, you know what, he didn't really do all that great. I mean, he only did 10% more than what I did. So what are you doing? Either you're finding fault with the success per se, or you're finding fault with the way the success was achieved. Actually, the boss gave him a lot of tips and therefore a lot of leads, and therefore he converted some of them. His father is very rich and therefore he gets a lot of advantage because his father is very well connected. What are you actually doing? You are questioning the success. Now, whenever we criticize successful people, remember what happens. Law of attraction, you are criticizing not just successful people, you are also criticizing success. So the message that goes out to the universe is, I don't want success. Okay, you repel success because you have criticized it. You're basically saying, no, I don't want that. You're not just saying no to the person that you're criticizing, you're criticizing that success. Therefore, success goes further and further away. The point here, the good habit here is simply rejoice in the good fortune of others. I hate to admit, but I was like this about 5 years back. I was very jealous of the successes of some of my friends who were making far more money than I was making. But then I realized that, okay, they had whatever opportunity they had. I had whatever opportunity I had. I couldn't convert some of the opportunities that I was given, but there's plenty of opportunities that kept coming my way. So habit number two, rejoice in the good fortune of others. Do not put other people down. Just appreciate the successes of other people. You don't have to do it as a convoluted, in a cunning manner, because the universe will come to know whether you're doing it sincerely or not. So point number two is always praise others, rejoice in the good fortune of others. That's habit number two. All right, let's go to habit number three. Habit number three is, we are now looking at how some people have a tendency to talk more about what they plan to do rather than what they're actually doing. You all know a few people like that, don't you? When these people start talking in meetings, what we need to do is this, and they sound like one McKinsey strategy presentation that they are all doing is देश को महान बनाएंगे, गरीबी हटाएंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, and then they do nothing. Okay? What happens is such people get the impression of being whole bachchans. Right now, the Hindi term, it's like you're a talk. You talk more than your bark is worse than your bite. You don't actually do anything, but you just talk about doing it. So with such people, what we recommend is if you are constantly living in the future and you're constantly talking about what you need to do, what you want to do, but you're not actually doing it. We have a whole lot of other videos on this site that helps you come out with those kind of things. But talk less and make it a habit that for maybe one day in a week, you will only talk about something after you have accomplished it. In many cases, your conversations will drop by 90%. Just focus on what you're going to do. For example, okay, let's take an example. Okay, if there's something, if there's a problem going on in your building, if the problem going on in your street, okay, maybe there is a sanitation issue, maybe there's a water supply issue, maybe there's an electricity problem in your street. Are you willing to put in effort to solve that problem? Because if you're not willing to put in effort to solve that problem, then maybe that problem is not so serious for you. You're just talking about it. Now, if the problem is not serious about you, for you to solve it, for you to take out the time to solve it, why are you even talking about it? What purpose does it serve? It only adds to negativity. That's when it's destroying your own credibility in terms of how you're what kind of an execution excellence person you are. So talking only about what you have actually accomplished rather than what you claim that you want to do. Because if you claim that you want to do it, like, oh, you know what, I'm going to get onto a running routine. And I know people who've been trying to get into a running routine for the last 5 years and still haven't got the time to do it. They bought their gym equipment, they have bought their gloves, they have bought those track pants, and they're well equipped and all that, but they don't actually many times go to the gym. Right? So third communication habit that is slowly destroying your career is if you are the kind of person who talks a lot more than what he actually does, your reputation is getting affected, and that's something that you should be really worried. Right? That's point number three. Now, point number four is a habit of not being authentic. Okay? When someone says something, now we see this happening in monthly meetings all the time. Whenever a boss is conducting a meeting, the boss, many times people are scared to disagree with the boss, and bosses keep telling us that, you know what, no one in my team actually says anything, but the boss many times may have put down somebody in the past for disagreeing with him. Yes, bosses are like that. We've seen some of them do that. But what happens if you are not authentic is because you start rotting from the inside. And if that is something that is happening to you, your chances are you are carrying a lot of stress inside you because you want to say things but you're not actually getting the chance to say them, or you're holding yourself back. And every time you put on a shield around you that holds you inside, you are that you're that there's an energy that is getting consumed in that particular shield. So, what is the best way to do this is to be authentic. If you have to disagree, there are ways in which you can disagree politely without being disrespectful. How to disagree without being disrespectful is a skill. What you can always say is, sir, I understand where you're coming from. I had a different point of view. There's one more perspective here. If you do it your way, these are the things that will happen well. But there's also this flip side of, hey, this may not happen well. What I feel is this is one more perspective that we could look at. So now you're not saying you're wrong, I'm right. Okay, it's not I'm okay, you're not okay. It's you're fine. This is one way of looking at it. I have a different way of looking at it. My take on this is slightly different from what you're saying, and therefore you are not worried about whether people are happy about receiving your negative thing. Why would they not welcome your different point of view? So do not be a people pleaser. Do not be submissive. Do not be subservient to others. Your own needs are important. It is important to express your ideas in meetings politely and respectfully. Just say that there is a different take on this, which some of us had. This is what it is. And if that makes a little person a little uncomfortable or a little happy, it's fine. I mean, so long as you are not putting down the other person, it's fine. Okay? We can't control how others respond to us. What we can control is how we respond to others. So this is point number four, communication habit, responding to others from what you think will make them happy rather than what you yourself will, responding in such a manner that you yourself remain happy. All right. Point number five, and what do you have now? is this is what we've seen is the number one mistake that most bosses make. Most of the time, they are only catching people doing something wrong. They never catch people doing something right. And what happens is it causes demotivation. For example, think of it this way. If your boss tells you to do six things and you do five of those things effectively very well, but the sixth thing you somehow goof up on. And if the boss spends 90% of the meeting time with you discussing what went wrong in that sixth thing, how are you going to feel? You're likely going to be demotivated. You're likely going to be angry. I mean, this is where we come up with this term called quiet quitters. Is people who continue to work in organizations but don't ever quit, and but they don't give their 100% ever. They are never engaged. So, a great people management technique is whatever you give energy to expands. So, if you want to encourage a behavior, spend a lot of time on it. If you don't want to encourage a behavior, don't spend too much time on it. There is a book called Well Done by Dr. Spencer Johnson, where he talks about this whole concept. He says, how do you train the whales to jump out of the water? You see that in Disneyland, in Orlando SeaWorld, in Singapore's whale parks, how do they make the dolphins stop? So what they do is the first objective of the trainer in the pool is to build trust with the animal, and that it does by playing with the animal. And after a few days of playing and all, the training starts. So what they do is they fix a rope under the water, and when the dolphin swims under the rope, it does not get anything. It gets no attention from the trainer. When it swims over the rope, it gets a lot of pats on the backs, and it gets food, it gets fish, and the dolphins figure out very quickly that it makes sense for me to swim above the rope. After some time, what do they do? They raise the height of the rope. It's still underwater, but now they've raised the height. Dolphin sees this as a game and starts going above their thing. After some time, the dolphin is 100% trained. Now they bring the rope out of the water. Now what do you have? The dolphin sees the rope which is out of the water, it swims, it jumps, okay, and while it's jumping, they simultaneously start the music. Dolphins have very sensitive ears, and after some time, they remove the rope and they only play the music, and the dolphin hears the music, gets this cue, and that's how he jumps into the out of the water. That's the stunts that you and I see. What is the concept? The concept is that if you don't want to promote a particular behavior, don't spend too much time about it. If you want to promote something, put a lot of energy and effort into it. So, for example, if you saw somebody handle objections very well in the market with a particular retailer, use that as an example to show the rest of the group how exactly you want the sales process to be handled. Somebody did a great demo with the customer, talk about that demo in front of everybody. Celebrate successes of people, celebrate activities of people by catching them doing something right. Okay? The mistake that people are making is that they are always negative, they're always finding fault, they don't actually focus on the good part of the other person. You can try this with your spouse also, it works. All right. Okay, so this is point number 5, which is the mistake that people are making is that they're always catching people doing something wrong. What you need to do is twist it around and catch people doing something right. So catch your kids doing something right, catch your wife doing something right, your husband doing something right. You will find the husband will want to do more and more of the behavior that you come, right? Okay, so that brings us to the end of this particular video. Thanks a lot for coming till here. I'm Maneesh Konkar. On this video, on this channel, we come up with a lot of inputs on life, on career success, on sales and marketing. These are our topics on which we do corporate training. We also run a digital agency, and we've got a lot of courses that will help you become a better person. Have a look at the comments, have a look at the links in the description, and you know what to do. Thanks a lot. I will see you in the next video.